All right, welcome again to URDesigns podcast and video series. Just wanted to welcome everybody. I am Eric Dobbins. I am the president and CEO of URDesigns. We provide mobile applications for companies. We basically connect your field people to your business systems, and that's pretty much what we do. We have canned packages, custom, depends on what it is that you're looking for, what you need. We're here to help you out. And what we're doing today is we're talking with a business partner of ours named Matt DENBERG from Schooley Mitchell. And these guys do some really cool stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Matt and let him introduce himself and tell you guys what he does.
All right, thanks, Eric, and hello, everyone. So my name is Matt, and I work for a company called Schooley Mitchell. And Schooley Mitchell is a business intelligence firm that specializes in business operational cost reduction. And there's three specific areas that our company has expertise in. The first is telecom, and that would involve a company's phone lines, their data connections, and their wireless devices. The second area is electronic payment processing, so that for businesses that accept credit and debit cards. And then finally, the third area is small parcel shipping. So this is would involve businesses that are shipping packaged goods that are under 100 pounds typically, and using vendors like FedEx, UPS, and DHL. So that's what we do. We are independent of the providers of these services. We're like auditors. We come into the client's business and we do an analysis of those cost areas and provide a report that shows the client where we see opportunities to reduce cost in those services. Since we're not selling these services, what our goal is to optimize the client's cost with their current vendors. So we're not changing the providers. We're just reducing the amount that the client pays those providers each month.
Okay. Well, one of the questions that I'm getting here and there is basically it's everything is sounding really good, but the big question is how does Schooley Mitchell get paid? How do you guys work out the piece where you guys are getting your slice out of it?
Good question, Eric. So the analysis we do is actually a contingency cost reduction analysis. And what I mean by that is Schooley Mitchell performs the analysis at no cost and no obligation to the customer. In order to do the analysis, we obtain billing information and permission to talk to the client's vendors. And when we come back to present our recommendations for cost reduction to the client gets the final go, no-go decision on all those recommendations. There's no obligation for them to accept any. Typically, we find real meaningful, impactful savings, so the client most of the time accepts all of our recommendations. And the way we get paid for the recommendations the client accepts, we implement those, and our fee is a 50% share of the client's realized savings. And that fee is actually paid in arrears. So in a given month, we would be invoicing the client for half the savings that they realized in the prior month. So the client never has to come out of pocket in order to pay our fees. In the event that we don't find savings, that happens maybe 10% of the time. In that case, we don't charge any fee. The client just gets a professional confirmation that everything they have is optimized and they're in good shape.
Okay. Now, I think you had mentioned to me at one time that after a client let's say, for instance, a client reduces to that point where there's not much savings left there, they can still retain you guys to do some of the services that you do. Is that correct?
That's correct, Eric. After a certain point, we can't reduce the costs any further. They're optimized. But our clients enjoy the support and the impact we make on their business, so it's not uncommon for us to be retained on a monthly basis going forward, just to manage and maintain what we've done.
Oh, that's really nice. Because what it does is, as I mentioned in the prior one, the reason I asked this is after you're reducing, so you start way up here, you're reducing to here, then you're reducing, later on you're reevaluating again and reducing a little bit. Then when you get down to the point where there's not much left, it's real hard, it would be real hard for any company to continue to provide services without actually asking for something. But the services that they provide are so unique that it just seems like it's very needed in a lot of cases. Now, not saying that that other people can't do it, but they have some tricks and some things that they do to keep those things down. Because one of the things that you'll notice is that once you stop doing it, everything starts to creep back up. Because we as IT people, we spend a lot of time looking at it, but we have to plan. In most cases, we're planning for what could happen, not necessarily what does happen. And us checking, the day before invoicing, it's really hard for us to do, because you never know what happens if your ERP system is down and all of the IT people are working on it and we miss that window to make all those adjustments. So it's really a good insurance policy to make sure that all that stuff stays the way it is. So, and that's kind of
Eric,
what I look
I'm
at.
glad you. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. When we ask our clients after an engagement, how did we do? Where did you really see value in our services? Of course, they mention that they really enjoy and appreciate the cost savings. But what we see time and time again is they appreciate the time savings just as much. The amount of staff resources that they're able to free up for other initiatives.
Exactly, and as I said in one of our previous recordings, I probably saved about 20% of my time when I passed this off to someone else in my organization. Because I had more demands than even I had on myself, I basically probably saved this person 30% of their time just by doing this. And taking a person and adding 30% to their day or to their week, that's huge. I mean, when you're talking about IT people, yes, we all think they all sit in the back room and just browse videos on YouTube and stuff, but that's not what we do. We actually, if you're not asking us questions, we're doing our job. If you don't notice that we're there, we're doing our job. If something fails, that's when we're in trouble. So that's when we also are needed the most. But we're doing things all the time, and if we don't have time to do those maintenance pieces, and we spend our time doing something else, it could potentially impact the business in the future. And that's one of those things that I always say, we, as part of what we do with mobile, we look at how can we save people's time. And it's not because we want to reduce people that we want to save their time. If the way we look at it is, if we're going to cut someone's time, the piece that we want to do with that time that we've cut out is give them the opportunity to do more for the company. Because if you can do more for the company, they might actually handle your customer better because they have more time to take care of that customer. They may make sure that something else is done better. So that is exactly why some of these time saving pieces, even though they may not be, super big savings, they're soft savings is what we refer to. But those soft savings can also account for a lot of business growth, a lot of other things that go along with it, which is really, the money is great, but the time savings puts the emphasis on other things that needed to get done that possibly weren't being done because they were busy doing that particular piece. And we really focus on a lot of that with our mobile applications. That's one of the reasons why I really tie this in with what Matt does, because the time savings is huge. We talk about the money savings. Money savings is great. I mean, your accountants are going to love that part. The time saving is what your managers are going to love, because your managers are going to now be able to do things that they weren't able to do before, which is great. And that, I think, is what it helps us in our industry with mobile applications, and it helps with what you're doing in the management side, which is really slick. Okay, sorry, didn't mean to take over, Matt. How are you doing?
No problem. You're doing great.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to talk about on the way Schooley Mitchell gets paid? Is there anything else that you wanted to add before we jump off?
No, I think I covered it.
Okay, perfect.
The important thing to remember is the client doesn't pay any fees unless we find savings that they like to implement. So it's really a no-risk service.
And the other thing is they're getting a free evaluation to find out whether or not they're doing the right thing or not. So even if you do have the staff that's supposed to be doing this, take the time to do it, because what may happen is you may find that you can save something, and then then there's possibly this little pot of gold that's sitting out there that you can use for something else, which is exactly what you want to do. Keep it away from the big